for naval guns. Punch holes in the hulls of wooden ships. Not good against ships.
No.
These men had 100 infantry or cavalry heading towards them at a rapid pace. The best they could do with this sort of shot would be to depress that barrel and have this shot skip along the ground. Skip at a very high velocity. And it would take pieces off about 10 or 15 coming forward. And then the other 85 would keep coming and they'd be in dire straits. So there was a refinement to the types of shots the cannon would fire. This is something called shell shot. Now it would have had a powder bag attached to it as well. And you notice at the front of the shell shot where you have a plug. Now, this is a hollowed out cannon filled with gunpowder. And the artillery officer cut different lengths. So this shell would fly out over the heads of infantry or cavalry and then explode over their head. Maybe after going 800 yards, maybe after going 200 yards, whatever it might have been, it could be cut through the length. The drawback to this type of ammunition is that as artillerists, never rely on how many fragments this will break up into. It might have broken in half, it might have broken into 4 pieces, it might have broken into 16. They couldn't rely on it inflicting damage on that massive infantry or cavalry getting their way. So an English artillery officer came up with a refinement of this. He decided, in addition to the powder that was packed inside this shell shot, that they put 24 little iron balls inside. And that would explode over the head of an oncoming enemy. His name was shrapnel. Lastly, you may notice when you were in these towers here that the cannon don't all point out towards the field. Most of them point down along the wall. That's because the plan was if the fort had ever been attacked, it never was, but if it had been attacked, they would have used this type of shot. Again, would have had an attached powder bag. This is called a canister shot. What this canister shot does, is this cannon is giant fire. This is sort of ammunition that they use at Gettysburg. This is the sort of shot they used against Pickett as he was charging across that open field. If things get desperate enough, another can could be put on top of it, and then you'd have double cannons. If those cannons that ever had to fire against infantry or an enemy gathered along the stone wall, 24 large iron balls inside this canister shot would have just bounced off that stone wall, but would have done nasty things to anybody gathered. Now, as I said, this is a minimal crew here that can operate this gun safely. We're going to have these men going to go through a dry run where we assume that the cannon's been fired many times. And I'll tell you what each step, what each man shooting against. So first you have a man with an iron worm. This is like a giant corkscrew. He's running that down the barrel to get any pieces of that cloth sack that might still be inside burning. Once he's done that, the man across from him has a staff. At one end, there's a sponge. This is a piece of lamb skin. He dips that in the bucket, runs that down the barrel, goes cooling and extinguishing any embers that might still be burning inside. All the while, the chief of the piece has a leather finger saw over the to the rear, given the man who had earlier wormed. He checks it over to make sure it's correctly configured, puts it at the muzzle. The man who had earlier sponged spins his staff around. He's got a ramming block, rams that into the ammunition. This now sits at the breech of the cannon, and the clutch hole holds the top of the cannon down just above this cloth sack filled with gunpowder. The chief of the piece has what's called a priming wire. He runs that down the touch hole, pierces this cloth sack filled with gunpowder. Because we're an infantry post, they historically would have had pre-measured vials of gunpowder, but we use musket cartridges here. So he tears that off, pours the musket cartridge down that touch hole. We now have a solid column of gunpowder running from the top of this cannon with the buffer down to that cloth sack of gunpowder. He raises his arm, signaling that the cannon's ready to be fired. Try to remember this, when he raises his arm, that's when you want to cover your ears, not before. So, he raises his arm, this man across from him has two staffs. One of them has slow match. This is a piece of rope soaked in potassium nitrate. It burns very, very slowly and very, very hot. It won't blow out in the wind. He touches it to a piece of quick match, which is a piece of paper tightly wound around gunpowder. It burns like a 4th of July firecracker. He touches it together, reaches over the cannon wheel, the cannon goes off, desperate enough, they could have skipped some of these safety procedures. But by skipping safety procedures, that means you could have had ammunition accidentally touch off while somebody was loading it. But they could do that. Now, what I'm going to have you do is, you may have seen what looks like a stone pathway or sidewalk, or move back behind that or against the buildings. When I give the all clear after they fire the cannon off, you can step forward, take pictures with the crew, or ask any questions you might have.
I heard it's going to be loud.
Somebody help. That thing's running.
Okay, tápate. Put your fingers in there.
That was real. I can see the fire. I can see the real fire.
Your tummy when it went boom. ¿Van a hacerlo otra vez?
Ay, ay, ay.
Tápate.
Cannon drill, do you have any questions for the crew? Like to take pictures?
Yeah, come here, John.
Thank you very much.
Oh, come here.
Stay.
Now what?